one of my favorite shows of all time is House of Cards. It's an awesome show. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Although the ending was a little bit tumultuous because of everything that happened with Spacey. But anyhow, there's this awesome scene in the show where he goes back to his college to, they were going to name a library after him. So he goes back to his college to give this speech and accept they were going to unveil the Francis J. Underwood Library or whatever it is. So he gives this speech at the ceremony, and it's a speech that is so freaking well done. I mean, it is fiction, but it's still, for me, it's one of the coolest speeches ever. Because in that speech, so to give you some context, the night before, he goes and he's surprised by three of his really, really good friends that he went to college with. And he hadn't seen these guys in years and years and years, probably decades, right? So he goes and he hangs out with these friends. The night before, they were drinking and partying and just having a great time, just really reminiscing about, their time together at the Sentinel, which is his college. So the next day, they're all hungover, and he goes up to give this speech to accept, this new library named after him. And you can tell that in that scene, Frank Underwood, the character that Kevin Spacey plays, you can tell that he had prepared a speech, but then he kind of, just goes off a whim and just kind of, freestyles it. And in that speech, he mentions, he kind of stops and he looks at the cadets, and he's kind of looking, and he can't really come up with the words. And then he just says harmony. He's like, that's the word that comes to my head, harmony. Life is about individual voices coming together, and that lasts the length of a breath. And it was just the perfect speech. And really what he's trying to say in that speech is that nothing really lasts forever. So he remembered his time at the Sentinel as he had a group of friends, and everything that he did in those 4 years that he was there was perfect for that time. And then he graduates, he goes into politics, he runs for Congress, and he wins, and then you're going up. So for me, and I didn't realize this when I was first watching it, but that's really how I live my life. I'm of the mind that things should be great while they're happening, and then a next stage of life kicks in. That's how I feel. I think about where I was born and raised versus where I went to college versus where I live now. These are all separate times of my life, right? I know a lot of people that try to hang on to the past and try to, continue to be with people that they were with when they were 15, 20, 25, as opposed to who they're going to be who they're going to be with when they're, 25, 30, 40, 50. It's just a different thing, right? So I think one of the big challenges that I face, that anyone could face, is accepting that a term in your life is over, right? And it's okay that it's over, by the way. It's okay to move on. It's okay to let the past be the past. I know so many people that try to hold on to a memory and try to make it the same way that it was. And you can tell when something's over. So, I'll give you an example. When I had such a close group of friends in high school. I mean, guys that, I thought that I would be lifelong friends with, and I went back home probably in my second year of college. I went back home to visit these guys, and I could tell within about 5 minutes that it's the past. Not in a bad way. I mean, it's not like I hate them, I resent them. It's not that they, resent me. It's just the fact that that was a period of life that is now over. It's over, and that's okay. And it's not like, when I see them, we're still best of buds and everything's good. But then I go back to my life, they go back to their life. And what I see happen so much is that people will have a great time in their life, and then they try to hold on to that feeling. They try to hold on to that past so much where they can't move on to bigger and better things. And by the way, it's okay to move on to bigger and better things. So that's that's friends, right? And that happens for a lot of people. But now, let's talk about careers and, where you're going with your life. If you had a job out of high school or college that was what you needed during that time, it's okay to move on from that, and you should. And it's, I see some of my friends, they hold on to careers or jobs because maybe it's a younger community and they still go drinking after work on a Tuesday and have fun, and then they, so you're kind of still living that college life or even that high school life or whatever it might be. And perhaps you see a job opportunity in maybe a different city or even at just a different company down the street. It could be as simple as that, but maybe there's a big opportunity. If you live in North Carolina, maybe there's a big opportunity in New York. It's something that in the back of your mind, your ambition, it wants this, but you're like, you know what? I can't leave my boys. I can't leave this thing that I have. Meanwhile, maybe your group of friends are thinking the exact same thing. They're like, shoot, I have something in Texas that could be an awesome opportunity, but I don't want to leave this group of people. So then you're at a point where you're both wanting something more, but you're not doing it because of each other. Meanwhile, you could come together and be like, hey man, like this is something that we should do. We can remain friends, but we have to, we have to do the thing that we want to do with our lives, right? So, it's okay to say that there are periods of your life, right? I mean, I believe that you can live multiple lives within one life. I mean, I think it should be that way. I'm 28, who I was at 12 is much different than who I was at 18. I'm much different than I was even when I was 25, just 3 years ago. A lot has changed. And I made that decision, right? I lived in North Carolina. I decided to move to Florida because there was a great opportunity and it's something that I wanted to do. And, it wasn't much of a challenge for me. I mean, it was, but it was, I didn't have to battle the mindset of, I want this forever, and I don't want to lose this. It was more, I have really good friends. I mean, I lived in North Carolina for, 10 years almost. I mean, that's a long time, especially, I moved there when I was 18, left when I was 28, 27. So yeah, it's a big switch, but I was okay with it because I knew that I had to go to the next life within my life. So I see a lot of people that this is a challenge for, but if you need validation, use me because it's okay to live life. Also, I think it makes those periods of your life better. If you're able to, like for me, for college, some of my college buddies, we had the most fun and we experienced so much together. I mean, so many things happened where, I told myself like, these are my boys for life, and they still are. It's not like they're not. But when I reflect and I look back, they were exactly who I needed during that time and wanted during that time, and not in a bad way. Like I used them so I could get through college. Not at all, man. Like that's not it at all. But when I look back, college was great, and then college was over, and then it was time for the next thing. And when I look back at that, I said that was a fantastic time, and I'm glad that I didn't try to hold on to that and pull as much out as I could. It was the perfect thing for me when I needed it. And I know this period of my life right now, this is what I need right now in order to get to the next step. And I hold no, ill will about it. I mean, I feel really, really good about it. So I see people struggle with that a lot. But again, it's okay to have sections of your life end so that the next one can start. I think that's a huge distinction. And, the question may be, well, how do you know when it's over? When you feel like it's time. When you feel like it's time to elevate, to go to the next step, dive head first in. That's all I'll say. Dive headfirst in, and there's going to be people, even your friends, even your really close friends or family, that are going to try to, tell you not to leave. You're going to hear it. I mean, one of my really good friends, he's going through that right now, where perhaps he wants to leave where he is, but he's got family pushing back on it. And at the end of the day, man, you're going to go through your whole life trying to do one of two things. You're going to try to do what's best for you, or you're going to try to do what's best for other people in your life. But at the end of the day, it's you that has to make that decision. And for friends or family that are trying to tell you what to do, if they're really good for you, then they will support what you want to do. So I hope this helps somebody. I hope this helps you. It's never an easy thing, but it's definitely a mindset thing that I think everybody can adopt and implement in their life.